I'm going to turn to Hashim now, because people needing heritage, I mean, this has been a challenge in many ways when many heritage sites have been closed, but what has been very evident is how much people have needed nature. Hashim, you can tell us something about what you've learned and thought about this year.
Well, thank you, Fiona, for the invitation to join you. I think there are two things that have come up which are actually positive from the COVID pandemic. You know, I mean, this is quite ironic, but it's actually something that that I think I've learned, and that is two things. One is the appreciation from urban people for the outdoors, for national parks, for the urban parks. The second thing I think has come out, the awareness of the abuse of wildlife in international trade. I mean, Indonesia is one of the biggest sources of illegal, illicit trade. It's leading to steps now to crack down on this illicit trade. So I think that is something that I've taken, you know, from this crisis. It's a positive outcome, and obviously I appreciate it, you know, because I'm very much into wildlife conservation. As you know, we're trying to crack down, and we're trying to help the government crack down on this illicit trade. It's very difficult. So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to mention was also on the effect of tourism, or the lack of tourism, as Her Royal Highness mentioned, in the effect on Jordan. It's the same effect in Indonesia. I mean, Indonesia earns about $20 billion a year from international tourists. And the fact is that it's gone down, I think, 98% or 97%. So you can imagine the impact on the purses of the government and on the tourism business. But then there is also a positive aspect. You know, there's always a positive aspect, and the positive aspect is that the amount of garbage and waste has lessened. I mean, you know, there's less garbage, you know, and there's less waste being thrown around in these tourist places, because even domestic tourists are limited in their movement. So there again, there's a positive aspect from an otherwise, you know, sorry state of affairs. So those are the things I think that we take. And I think for the future, Indonesia, I understand, is going to reopen in July this year. Friends of ours from different parts of, you know, the Into community were warning me about the negative effect of mass tourism on heritage, the garbage, the waste, you know, plastic pollution into sites, all these negative things that will happen as a result of mass tourism and development. So that's something I took away from ICNT 2015 in Cambridge. And I've mentioned that to the authorities here. Yes, tourism is very positive for the economy and for jobs, but has to be mitigated. Negative aspects have to be mitigated. And ironically, because of COVID, we've had less of that, you know, from both international tourists and domestic tourists.